And we have to do this. I think we have to do this. We have the obligation to do this. My name is Christoph, I'm an entrepreneur and I love tech, so this is why we have this YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe because it's fun.
I like to have fun.
You will find interesting stuff, and what we do today is, when I said we have to do this, we have to talk about the iPhone 13 and the features we have in there. With the iPhone 12, Apple actually started to produce a iPhone 12 mini, which kind of hyped but then failed because the battery. Yeah, the battery. I could believe that we will talk about batteries in the year 2021, but the battery of the iPhone 12 is like mini is really bad. But with the iPhone 13, you have the Pros with the Pro lineup and the Pro Max, huge phone. And you have as well the normal iPhone 13 in the normal size, and then the iPhone 13 mini. And my take on the lineup and the big question is like, what's coming next? Because the big advantages we have is the battery, of course, the processor that is optimized to the battery, and the camera. These are the kind of the features, as well as kind of the display and bitrate. I would say still, even if the iPhone 12 mini was a fail, the option to have a phone in this size, like the small iPhone, I think 4 or 5, is still a great thing in times when you have several screens around you anyways, and you don't need this as your main work device. You see from the iPhone 13 Pro Max that still there are a lot of people with huge phone requirements. I had that with the Samsung Note 10, and I switched from iPhone to Samsung when Samsung came out with the Note 3 for more screen, and then just use my phone as my main work device. This is not the easiest question to answer, especially if your main work tool is this. I use a lot of these little notifications here. I still believe that having something small makes it easier to put it away, to leave it on the side, to not carry it around, which makes us less distracted and less addicted to these devices. And this is a main and very important thing. I think we are, of course, super addicted to these devices, and the smaller the screen, the easier it is to leave it aside. But if the battery doesn't work, and if it doesn't bring you through a day, which the iPhone 13 Pro does, I didn't test it yet, but I've seen tests from trusted YouTubers who say like they even get through it with like 1.5 days, or even with like 30 or 40% battery left, which is insane.
This year they've combined the new chip with an actually physically larger battery, and that's why the phone is slightly thicker and heavier, but the results are actually incredible. The iPhone's battery life got way better. I am having a great battery experience with this phone. 5 hours of screen on time without a problem, 6 hours too pretty regularly before getting down into low battery, and often creeping up towards 7. I only actually killed it in a day once during my testing with a heavy day with a lot of unplugged max brightness navigation. That'll do it. But also my car has a wireless charger in it, so it's pretty hard now in my daily use to ever get worried about this phone's battery life. I'm convinced. I actually think I could go on a weekend trip and get 2 full days of light use out of this phone. That's a really big improvement. I don't think I've ever said that about an iPhone battery before. And the Pros are even better, even more impressive.
But if you have a mobile phone or even a smartphone and it doesn't bring you through a day, or it's not reliable to bring you through a day, then you have a problem, because you need to rely on this thing in the moment when you need it. And if it's then empty, this thing is not worth to carry around, which is a problem. So what's the take here? I think I will stay with the iPhone. I won't go back to the Samsung for now. We tested the Samsung Flip because we kind of liked the new idea of having a different kind of phone, but it's not it. It's too thick, it's too slippery, we're not used to it. But I think small phone, different devices switching is still a good thing, and I still believe in iOS and optimizing to the processor and the battery, so I would stay with that for the next iPhone, so the iPhone 13 mini. That's the one I will go with, and see how it goes and how it fits into all the other devices. And I believe this is still the way to go. Yannick brings out a very important point, the cinema mode, which kind of helps to do focus transitions, and we've seen test images. We didn't test it for ourselves.
By selecting cinematic mode, your iPhone will automatically detect a person, object, even pets, bringing them into focus and softening the background around them. Just hit record, and the camera changes focus intuitively when it recognizes a new face or subject, creating the ultimate cinematic effect.
We have to test it with the iPhone Pro, I have to say. I think we will have one in the crew, so we could compare it to the Red camera and so on. But even if software optimizes how it uses the sensor, there is still a factor which is a physical size of the sensor and the physical difference of sensor size. And I carry around my photo camera because the sensor, the full frame sensor, makes a huge difference compared to a phone. Even if you can make tremendous pictures with a phone, and the best camera you can carry around is the one you have with you. So this is a good fallback. But I'm even fine with the camera here in the iPhone 12 mini to use that. But let's give it a try. I think it's a good take, but this is not the innovation that you will have in the market and will be a make or break. I don't think so.
Do you think there will come some innovations to the market that will change the game forever?
That's a big question, and I've seen, like, the take I had a couple of years ago was to think about the augmented reality glasses, and Apple, we know from patents that we can maybe, I don't know if we can show something here or if it's under some legal issues, but Apple is also in the game, like Facebook, as we said, like Microsoft. Microsoft actually signed a huge deal with the US military, I think more than 20 billion to build HoloLens for a military defense purpose.
It sounds like something out of science fiction. But the futuristic goggles these soldiers are wearing could transform the battlefield. A heads-up display, or HUD for short, allows soldiers to see terrain maps and an overhead compass in real time, helping to clear the fog of war.
You have like a little arrow pointing like, hey, go this way.
And if it is dark and smoky, no problem. The goggles can see right through it and literally around corners.
It's a fighting goggle that's supposed to, really upgrade situational awareness and the way that the men and women of the United States fight.
You can be whatever opinion you are, but we know that GPS, for example, or many of these things come from military developments into these devices. That could be a leap, but there is physical limitation to augmented reality. You need kind of a latency below 7 milliseconds, that it feels natural. We talk about augmented reality in a kind of mixed reality way, so you see something stuck to the table that needs to stay there. There are some physical limitations, so I'm not so sure anymore if you have innovation in that area so soon. So I would stay with different screen sizes and switching between the screens more fluently, which seems like a small innovation, but imagine how the success of WhatsApp, for example, was kicking off SMS, short message, text messages, because WhatsApp was just a little bit more user-friendly, better to use, easier to use, and so on. So I would see more innovation in the devices. To sum it up, I'm curious to see what the iPhone 13 has to offer. I think we talk about more this power screen, like 120 Hertz, which other companies have for a long time, but once you have that, you won't go back. That's what we know from the old times. So we talk about innovation that is more kind of like in the phone and makes you like a bit more sticking to the screen, sticking with the camera and the battery, but I don't see huge innovation for now coming up. That's it for now. I would say let's give it a try. We definitely will do a review here and compare it with the other phones again, because we have a look into these devices, onto these devices with a perspective of how does it improve collaboration and not about features. So yeah, stay tuned. Just make sure you subscribe, watch another video, and I see you guys next week. And leave your questions in Discord. Let's discuss it.